Hey everyone, Sam Battersby with Griot's Garage, and today we're going to talk about how to rebuild your Brilliant Finish foam cannon. If you want to avoid doing this process at all, or at least soon after purchasing your foam cannon, be sure that every time you use the foam cannon following use, simply fill up your reservoir with clean water, attach it to your foam cannon, attach your foam cannon to your pressure washer, turn your pickup dial all the way to maximum, as it should be during regular use, and run a full reservoir of water, or at least half the reservoir, through your cannon to completely flush it out. That will clean any soaps or cleaning solutions out of the internals of the manifold, ensuring maximum performance for a very long time, and potentially you'll never even need this rebuild kit. Now, if you leave your cannon in your wash solution, or you forget to rinse the cannon out, over time, that happening multiple times, your cannon performance will suffer and you will need to rebuild your cannon internals, or at least take it apart and thoroughly clean everything. So that's what we're going to show you here. We've got our Brilliant Finish cannon rebuild kit in front of me. Comes with 2 replacement nitrile O-rings, a replacement stainless steel mesh pill, which is normally the most common fail point of poor foam performance, a tube of super glue to clock your nozzle properly, a small packet of silicone grease to grease your O-rings, and a new silicone surgical grade pickup tube in case your pickup tube becomes deteriorated or you need to replace that as well. So to start this process, we're going to use a small pick tool. Really any pick tool or small item that can poke out this centering pin will work here. Pull that pin out and set it to the side. Remove your nozzle and set that to the side as well. Now you have your nice electroplated aluminum manifold there. So you have these 2 hex shank points. You have your 24 millimeter point in the rear and your 22 millimeter point up front. Take your box or adjustable wrenches. I like to use the close end on the 22, and then I'm going to use the open end of the 24. It's a little easier to get onto that shank there, and loosen the 2 manifold pieces, as you can see there. Out of the box, this may be a little more difficult than what you just saw me do because that piece is glued with some super glue to clock it. So there's a little bit of resistance in taking this all the way off, so I'm going to go ahead and continue using the wrench to thread it all the way off of the main manifold. Getting a little easier there. Completely remove this end fan jet piece. Ideally, you have an adjustable wrench or a box wrench. If you're using pliers for this process, you're almost guaranteed to mar up the electroplated aluminum. That is not covered under our warranty, so be sure that you use proper tools for this process so you don't damage your cannon. Now that we have that apart, you can see inside of there the stainless steel mesh pill. To get that out, you can do this one of 2 ways. My favorite way is using the same pick tool you used on the nozzle pin. Simply insert the pick tool into the front end of that piece and press out your mesh pill. This one is brand new, so it's clean, but if your cannon is suffering from low foam output or poor performance, this pill will likely be corroded. It'll have some visible corrosion on it, or it'll be clogged with soap scum from leaving soap in the cannon over time. Remove that. The other way would be to use a hook tool and pull it out from the back end. Personally, I think pressing it out is much easier, so if you have an item small enough to reach in there, that's a great way to go. So you pull out your old one. If it doesn't look that bad, you can rinse this out thoroughly with hot water. I like to soak mine for a few minutes and then give it a good thorough rinse with some high pressure before reinstalling it. If there's visible corrosion or soap buildup, grab your new mesh pill and drop it in. I like to use the base of my pick, or you can use a pen or you don't want a really sharp object because you don't want to ruin the mesh, but a blunt object that'll fit in there to press that down into place, as you see there. So now that we've got that back, that's ready to put back on. But first, we're going to check our O-rings. We have one O-ring here and then the main O-ring here. So we're gonna, of course that O-ring's fine. On this cannon it's new. If your O-ring is deteriorated or damaged, replace it. These don't often need replacement unless you've really been neglecting your cannon. So you can save those if you don't need them. Either way, whether or not you replace that piece, we do recommend using the silicone tube there. You would simply want to squeeze light amount of that silicone onto the main O-ring, and that's just going to help make adjustment easy with your nozzle. It keeps that nice and smooth and firm there. So we'll set that to the side now that it's gone. And now we are pretty much ready to reassemble. Of course, double check that your pickup tube doesn't need replacement. You can do that before or after you reassemble this piece. But to do so, we're gonna install our tip on our super glue here. Should penetrate it. And then we are simply going to take a couple drops of super glue onto our threads here. This is going to ensure that the cannon stays clocked properly. Put the cap back on there, so we're going to get super glue on everything. And I'm going to take my end with the new mesh pill there, thread it back on. Got our couple drops of glue on those threads. So because of the old glue that was on this piece, we're getting some resistance in tightening that, so I'm going to go ahead and use my wrench again. Make that nice and easy on myself. Tighten that guy back down. At fully snug, it should be clocked completely vertical, as you see there. So double check that when you snug it down, so that when that glue, that thread locker sets, everything is in the orientation that it should be, and you don't have to come back and redo this process to get your nozzle and foam spray straight up and down again. So we've got that all dialed in. Now we will put our nozzle back on. Make sure that your Have Fun in Your Garage is oriented correctly and that you can read it and it's not upside down. You can install this upside down if you're not paying attention to that. Not a big deal, but small detail. Take your locking pin and insert it back into the nozzle by hand. It's nice and easy to do. Now you're ready to get back to foaming. So nozzle's working nice and smooth. If for any reason you ever need to service the Orifice jet, that's as simple as removing your coupler here. That was just hand tight for the video. Normally you'll use a 14mm wrench to remove that. And then you can access your Orifice jet using a flathead screwdriver. Remove that. If needed, rinse it under hot water and reinstall it. Reinstalling your coupler with new thread sealant or Teflon tape to seal those threads and prevent any leaks. Once again, if you rinse your cannon after every use by filling your reservoir up with clean water and cycling that through the full cannon, you should not have any issues with performance, and you may never need to use this rebuild kit. If you inadvertently leave the cannon in the solution or forget to rinse it out after each use, odds are over time performance will suffer and you will need to use the Brilliant Finish Cannon rebuild kit. For more information on the Brilliant Finish foam cannon, visit griotsgarage.com, and as always, have fun in your garage.